Well, it's great to be with FE News. My name's Paul Cox. I'm the Group Chief Executive at the Energy and Utility Skills Group.
So, Paul, I understand you've launched the strategy today, and I wonder if you could break down those 4 pillars which you've sort of seen through the research, the retention, and how that is affecting the sector.
Yeah, okay, so thanks, Kevin. Great day today. We've got a full house here at the Hilton Metropole in Birmingham, 400 for the day and looking like 330 to 340 for the awards later. So I work backwards on the strategy, if I may. So 4 pillars. We have the research, which is the data and the justification for the intensity behind our effort. Then we've got attract, develop and retain. Now, 4 simple pillars, but actually the complexity to get there. So the work actually started last autumn with the workforce demand estimates that we published and have been used by Treasury, DESNZ and other departments. So those workforce demand estimates gave us a sense of the scale of both the investment that's coming and the human need to get that opportunity realised and to get that investment in the ground and doing the job that we need as citizens. So that workforce demand estimate was then worked through our network groups that we operate with our 70 members. Those network groups then reported to the delivery board as to their thoughts. They were then shaped into some plans and some thoughts that our CEO Council signed off in June. In the months of July and August, we then had our work tested by Public First, and we also had our work tested by sector partners as well, many of whom you'll see in the strategy have gone on to endorse our work. So we launched the strategy today, not on something that's been developed in a dark room somewhere with no engagement, and look, here it is. This is almost a 12-month journey from evidence through engagement and collaboration, and is now really something that industry fully own. Our partners have backed us to lead and go at, and government departments are really positive about the work that we have them, and we heard that from Minister Smith this morning.
And how are you planning to not just have this a report that goes in the drawer, but is like a living document that the sector then has buy-in and constantly looks at?
Yeah, good question, because I think too many strategies end up gathering dust on a wall or on a shelf. So yeah, that certainly won't happen here. So from very practical things, so we operate 17 network groups across our business. That's across energy, water, sewage, water and waste. Those network groups include research, they include policy and communications, they include AI and technology, they include inclusion. So those network groups are now having their terms of reference revised, and where the actions in the strategy are attached to those network groups, those are deliverables that those network groups will now own and drive. Those deliverables will then be tracked through our delivery board structure and then to CEO Council. And I've made a very clear commitment that as a business that has 70 members, we will be publishing an update on our strategy every year. And that update will go out and it will show where we've gone well or exceeded, or where we need to do more. So we're not going to be putting this in a drawer. It will be a living, breathing document that will guide our work with our members.
Can we talk about numbers? Because some really big numbers you shared with the strategy, around 300,000. That's a lot of people to be able to attract and retain.
Yeah. So I'll start with a few numbers, and I'll get to that specific point. So in terms of numbers, I'm going to start first with our membership reach, because I think that sets the context of what we're going at. So the membership reach, 70 members across the sectors and across the United Kingdom. So it's important to note we operate across the devolved nations and England. Those members directly employ over 200,000 people, and similar again in their supply chains. So that's a really significant workforce that our members represent, and the members turn over 120 billion plus a year. So we're talking about real heft, we're talking about real influence in communities, families and individuals. So that's the context, if you like, at the base. At the other end is the opportunity that we have to work backwards from. So AMP8, okay, Asset Management Plan 8 for the water sector is £104 billion of infrastructure investment that needs to get into the ground and get built. Has to get built quickly, because otherwise that investment, could wither, and we need that infrastructure. We need our water to be cleaner, and we need our water to continue to be safe, and we need our water to continue to be drinkable. So that's a huge sum of money, and far above where it's been in previous asset management plans. On the energy side, the investment is a minimum of £92 billion for infrastructure across transmission and distribution. And that's before we start talking about small modular reactors, the SMRs, or additional nuclear stations. Okay, so that's transmission and distribution. And the final number, before I then connect the dots with the workforce, is that if we do employ all of that additional workforce, that infrastructure gets in the ground, the productivity benefit to the country is over 80 billion a year. So who's going to drive that 80 billion plus a year? Well, that is 312,000 new people for about 215,000 new jobs. Okay, so that's an increase in the workforce of about a third, give or take. And our workforce demand estimates are online on our strategy, in terms of the strategy section on euskills.co.uk. Go to the home about. Our skills strategy will be the first piece up there, and underneath that is the evidence. So we've published 4 appendices, which is the evidence behind our strategy. So 312,000 new people for 215,000 new jobs. Why the difference? Retirements. People who are going to leave the sector, who are factored into our analysis. So that is an opportunity for people across the United Kingdom in pretty much every county, every region, for good jobs in the sector. And it's not just hard hat jobs either. We're talking about project management jobs, we're talking about cyber jobs, but we're also talking about good jobs in engineering. But when I refer to good jobs, these are jobs attached to long-term funding. They're not gig economy jobs. They are long-term, sustainable companies who people can really look at and go, I reckon I can get 5 to 10 years of good career here. So that's the numbers joining up, from our membership to the infrastructure investment to then the opportunities for those citizens. And when we think about the opportunities for the citizens, we know we've got 1 in 7 NEETs that the Minister spoke about today, and we also know that we've got many millions economically inactive or underactive who could be doing more. Okay, so I think there is an imperative to put that at the core of our work, and that's what I've spoken a lot about today in terms of our work. So we're delighted, for example, to have the Department for Work and Pensions here today. We've got people from the Prison and Probation Service here today, because that is latent talent that this sector needs for its future.
Definitely, and I love that. And I think, can we also talk around the diversity as well? As you're saying, there's an ageing workforce in energy and utilities, and there's this opportunity with NEETs, economically active, breaking the cycle with offenders, but also are there different ways that we can reach different parts of the population as well?
Yeah. So I think the key aspect here is the culture of inclusion, where people can feel part of a team, whatever their background, beliefs, and that's pretty straightforward, but hard to do. And we know it's hard to do from the evidence that we gather in the sector that is making change and is making positive change, as we've heard today from many of our panellists, including the apprentices, who I thought were absolutely brilliant about their early career experience. But we do have to recognise that we are going to need to fill new jobs with new people. So Gen Alpha, 15 as we stand here today, they're on work experience. They're going to be in the workplace in the next 3 years. That's 5 generations in the workplace, with the pension ages rising and the generational growth that's coming through. So that's diversity and inclusion in itself when we think about age. So I think, beliefs, backgrounds, age, we have to make sure that this sector that can tell a great story to attract talent doesn't then churn talent, because that will then see the reputation start to struggle, and we'll see other sectors potentially, be seen as a more attractive destination. So we need the team to be somewhere where this new talent wants to be in whatever company they're with, so that because people will move jobs, they see the sector as positive, and then at a sector level, that means that we're not losing people to fill that 300,000 need. It just might mean they move from one employer to another, but they've had a good experience in the sector, and then they say part of the sector's team, even if they might change their employer team.